In those 5 years, I navigated and survived a global pandemic, which I naively thought had brought out the worst in humanity. I embarked on a cross-country road trip with a soul I had once looked up to with such admiration, desired to emulate, and had shared such an unbreakable connection with, only to discover throughout the journey just how much our lives had diverged since we had last shared space, and that our values were no longer in alignment. I moved back in with my parents to ride out the rest of COVID, but our differences came to a head, culminating in me packing up my belongings and living out of my car for the summer, enduring the Florida heat, which also coincides with hurricane season. After 2.5 months of walking dogs and watching my bank account steadily rise, in September 2021, I packed up once again and left the United States, ending one chapter and beginning a new one. For 3.5 years, I worked remotely. I began feeding stray dogs and rescuing animals. I built my savings to $10,000, piled my grocery cart as full as needed without having to add up the costs. My bills were on auto pay and my home was filled with all of the essentials. Despite not really having any friends, I was doing better than I ever had before. Until I wasn't. On January 1st, 2025, a storm approached. It was the kind of storm that felt ominous, like the foretelling of rough seas ahead, and I wasn't wrong. This year alone, I have lost my soul dog Gaia, my first rescue, and the one who made me a mom. I was laid off from my one remaining job, had one of my rescues unexpectedly become pregnant, giving birth to 9 puppies, only 3 of which survived. My yard man made a negligent choice and a stone flew up from his weed eater and shattered the rear glass of my vehicle. My papa, my last remaining biological grandparent, passed away 1 week after his 91st birthday. Due to my financial situation, lack of community, and the political climate in the United States, I was unable to travel to attend his funeral. 10 days after the passing of my papa, my ex's mom, a woman that will likely be the closest thing I ever experienced to a mother-in-law, also passed away. Life for me looks a lot different nowadays. I'm a full-time caregiver of 11 animals, 8 of them rescues. Travel, once a staple in my life as a nomad, is now non-existent. It isn't possible for me to be gone from home for more than a few hours, as the puppies are constantly in need. On the day of this recording, I have been unemployed for 250 days, one name on the list of millions of Americans that just keeps growing. My unemployment has long run out, my savings are depleted, my retirement fund has been drained. Everything I worked so hard for is gone. What do I do now? After having worked from home for so long, I am adamant that I will not return to a scenario where I have to commute to work, nor do I desire to put my fate into someone else's hands ever again. So that leaves one option. I have to become an entrepreneur. But how do I attain that feat when I have difficulty with executive function and lack of consistency? How do I show up for myself when my brain says no? How do I push through when I'm constantly being attacked spiritually and all I want to do is lay in bed? I don't know, but I have to try. I vaguely feel as if I'm part of some type of collective that's meant to help usher in a new world, a world that is better for us all, including animals and the planet. My entire life I have been seeking purpose, yet have felt completely lost, like I don't belong anywhere. Perhaps everything I've experienced up until this point has just been preparation. I keep seeing that I need to stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start, and then the subsequent steps will reveal themselves. So here it is, my messy start. I do not know what this next chapter will look like, but if you feel drawn to joining me on my journey or watching casually from a distance, I appreciate you. If you also find yourself unemployed and are questioning what's next for you, I'd love to hear about your own stories in the comments. I look forward to sharing with you, growing with you, ranting about the ills of the world with you, with revolutionary love.